Hey mamas, and welcome to the Entering Motherhood podcast. This is your one-stop go-to place for getting you from feeling drained, exhausted, and unfulfilled in motherhood to feeling more energized, organized, and accomplished. That's the vision I continue to navigate towards, and that's the vision we are sharing with you, focusing on holistic alternatives and restructuring your mind, body, and soul from the inside out. I'm your host, Sarah Marie Bilger, a wife, mom of two, mechanical engineer, VBAC mom, and doula, serving mamas through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. If you're here for this, if you're as pumped up as I am and searching for that fire that you know is deep inside of you, then let's go. Let's uncover what it truly means to enter motherhood. You are a rock star. I believe in you. Let's doula this. Let's crank it up a notch and let's kick it into high gear together. Hey mamas, how are you? I am super excited to share part 2 of the interview that I had with Kacia. And we really, again, just dive into so much and really just get chatting all things motherhood and what's going on in her life right now, building a business, having a live event, all doing that, while pregnant right now. And she is right at the forefront of entering motherhood and really experiencing this all for the first time. And so she has this big vision right now of being this person that's pregnant and on stage at a live event. And she is doing that. So this is a vision that she had for herself, and she is working her way into making that possible because she so strongly believes in representation and really being that person that you feel needs to be represented, if it's on an online capacity, in-person capacity, even if it's just a small capacity of, your friends and family and something that you want to go after and do. And that's another thing that we talk about in this episode. We talk about breastfeeding or having an unmedicated birth and really what that's like when there aren't necessarily people around you that are doing it. And really just building the confidence to step into that and really be grateful for what you have and the support that you do have, but know that it can also be difficult when you don't have somebody that necessarily relates. So how can we be reaching out, finding our resources and pulling from that when the time comes when we need it? Maybe it is like finding a lactation consultant in the area and knowing that maybe you don't think that you're going to have difficulties now, but when you do, or if you do, that you can tap into that resource and that you can have that person available. So I hope that you enjoy the second part of this episode and really just embrace motherhood and have it be what you want it to be, and know that you have the permission to follow whatever path you want for your motherhood experience. So let's get this episode started. See you later, mamas.
Yeah. It's interesting because I was with a couple of friends at dinner. This was like months ago. And we were all going around the table and we were saying, like, what's one thing that you could accomplish in the next 7 years that if you didn't, you would feel like you didn't like live up to your full potential? And one of my girlfriends said, write a book. And she doesn't want to have her and her husband don't want to have kids. And she said, write a book. And the first thing that came up for me was have a baby. And it was interesting because like, I just knew so badly that this is something that I wanted, and that I have so many other things that I want to do. But if I were to pick one thing in the next 7 years, which like I said, was like 6 months ago, this is before I got pregnant, I was like, that gave me so much clarity that that's what I wanted. And I was like, okay, this is part of your vision. Like this is going to happen. However it happens, there's a lot you can't control, but I was like, I want this. And I think sometimes people are afraid to say what they want, whether it's related to parents, or it's just related to any big dream, or wanting to move to a different city, or wanting to leave a career path, or wanting to, like my husband was a dentist and he left dentistry. It's like these things that we're so afraid to say, because when we say it out loud, it becomes more real. And especially when we loop people in on it. But I'm constantly doing that, where like, I looked at my husband, I was like, we're gonna have a baby soon, right? Like, let's do this, And it's like, it's just like you have to put it out there. And I think the universe like conspires to support you too, but you have to believe that you're worthy and that you deserve this. And obviously, women listening into a podcast like this, it's like they have that tug to want to be moms or they're already moms. But there's other things that you want to do in addition, and it can be an and thing, you know, like I want to be a mom and I want to be like the best possible freaking mom that I possibly can. And I want to have this exceptional marriage. And I want to impact the world in a massive way. And I want to be an amazing friend. Like I want to do all of these things. Then it's not going to be balanced perfectly. But I just believe like you wouldn't have that vision on your heart to have all of those things that you're doing unless you were able to figure it out. It's just how do you get out of your own way to be willing to call your shot, even if some people don't understand it? Because you understand it, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's like one of those things, like when you do start putting it out there, you do start seeing the evidence for it. And, you know,
Yes.
like I'm excited to meet Seena and stuff too, because
Yeah.
like I still work, like if people are listening, like I talk about it here and there, but like I still work full time in my
Yeah.
engineering job. I work from home now though. Like I have been in the process of getting to be like where I want and like putting training wheels on almost. Like I used to
Yeah.
work in the office. I used to be there every single day, like long hours. Our daughter was only 9 weeks old when she went to daycare. It was
Wow.
like
Yeah.
so hard for me. So then I kept on saying, like, well, what do I want? Like, if I don't like this, what's going on right now, like, what would I like? What would I enjoy? And so, like, I went through the process of like, now I work from home. And it's like, okay, like, now I'm working from home, but like, the podcast really lights me up. Working with moms really light me up. I started doing doula work and that lights me up. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So like it pivots, it changes. And it's like, all right, like I got to where I thought I want it to be, but like now maybe I want to be somewhere else. And like, I guess giving myself that permission to even like speak that out. And like sometimes I get
Yeah.
nervous to like talk about it here or like talk about it in front of family because they're like, well, what do you mean? Like, you might not want to be an engineer, or like you want to go part time, or you want to like what? Like it's so hard to like
Mm-hmm.
be in that bubble and to voice it out when like you still know that so many other people have that perspective. So like it's really cool to see Seena like have made that shift, like to do that and like be able to like see those examples. And I think it's just going for what you feel like is the next step is really like scary, but like it's also really exciting. And it's cool
Yeah.
to see like examples, like I mean, like you talk about how you were working in corporate and what that transition was like, but seeing like people literally like making that shift and going through it is really cool too.
Yeah. And I think there are like some amazing stories of people that had their back against the wall and overcame like massive adversity and had to make something work, or they had crippling debt and they had to do this. And those stories are incredible and so important to hear. But I also think there's a lot of importance in hearing stories like, for example, mine of working at Google and making a six-figure salary, yours of being a full-time engineer, something that people go to school for years to be, and saying, I want another stream of fulfillment. And maybe it is that you go part-time, or maybe one day you actually leave that, or just like Seena, like the feedback that he got from people in his family. He's also like his parents are first generation immigrants. He's Persian. So like the feedback from his family when he wanted to leave a dentist, what like dentistry in general, was not supportive. Was like, what? Like, are you crazy? You spent so much time going here. And his take on it is like, I'm not looking backwards. Like, I want to make sure that I love the next 50. Like, I don't need to stay in this just because of like this, like, you know, sunk cost fallacy of how much time you've invested into something, becoming an engineer or becoming a director of marketing, insert whatever someone's doing. It's like, you have one shot here. And I guess to me, I would rather navigate the reaction of people who don't understand it or the fear of failure than I would want to have that feeling of resentment or regret because I lived my life according to somebody else's success like criteria. I'm just not willing to do that, and neither is my husband. And it took him a lot of like nudging to know that that was even possible for him to even like call his shot on that because of just so much linear like school and everything. But it's cool. It's really cool to see. And
Yeah.
now that we're becoming parents, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what that would have been like if you're sleep deprived and then you're like drilling like a root canal on someone's tooth. Like that feels a little sketchy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And like I think like like in doing that, like it's so parallel to motherhood. It's so like you are maybe like navigating something that is different than what your parents did. Or, like maybe you want to breastfeed and nobody in your family was breastfeeding. Maybe you want to go
Yeah.
unmedicated. Nobody went unmedicated. Like,
Both. Yeah.
like all of those things. And then like having to say, like, I want to do this because this, and having to face that, like, well, why would you do that? Like, why would you put
Yes.
yourself through an unmedicated birth? Like, that sounds so crazy. And it's like being somebody that has done that, it's like, it is the most like exhilarating thing in your entire life that, like, if
You're
I didn't
describing what just happened to me. Literally what just happened to me 2 weeks
talk
ago
about
was
it.
exactly what you just said. Well, I mean, both of those things where
Yeah.
like I definitely want to breastfeed, and like obviously all of these things are proactive plans, and my goal is to have an unmedicated birth. And both my mom as well as my husband's mom, they both were like, why would you ever do that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you not? Like, modern medicine has this option for you. And I'm like, these are the reasons that I want to. And I like caught myself being like, I don't have to explain that to you, actually. Like, I can tell you what I want to do. And as long as it's like Seena and I are on the same page and he's the one that's like in the room with me and like we got our game plan and we're going to go for that, knowing that the plan could change if it has to change. Like, that's the way that I'm going to do this. But it is so interesting. I can't even tell you, a lot of my girlfriends that like I have very few girlfriends that have had unmedicated births. So when I talk about that, I'm ready. Like, I'm instantly ready to be on the defense of like why I want to do that. And I'm like, that means that indicates to me that I have to take inventory of the people that I'm talking to about this and find other resources and tap into podcasts and tap into, people that have done the thing that I want to do, to hear their stories of why they chose to do it, because otherwise it's easy to get in your own head about it, right?
Yeah, 100%. And even, I mean, like my first ended up in an unplanned cesarean. And so going into my second one, like I knew, like, okay, obviously I know what could potentially happen, but like
Yeah.
I'm still going into it thinking like this is what the vision is, like this is what like
Yep.
I want to try for. But I was in such a better headspace of like, well, if it doesn't go that way, like at least I tried. And I think
Yep.
like that was what I like really pushed for. And what like I tell moms, like, look, like if you want at least to have that be on your plan, on your preferences, like
Yeah.
in your vision, at least try for it. Because like, don't be afraid to fail. And like I don't even like to call it like failing. It's just it went a different way. And
Yeah.
I think like when we really release those expectations and we are able to like fully embody what's happening in the moment, if it happens, then like it's just the coolest thing ever. And you can look back on it and be like, did I literally just like right after my son came out and I put him on my chest, I was like, did I really just do that? Like, did
So
that
cool.
seriously just happen? And like, I mean, he's a year and a half and I still remember that moment. And if I
Yeah.
would have been like, oh, like, let's just have a repeat cesarean, or like, why would I try to put myself through that? I would have never been able to have that experience. It's just like one of those things, like, if it's on your heart, like, go for it. Because, like,
Yeah.
if you achieve it, it's going to be the coolest freaking thing ever. And like
Yeah.
if like it goes a different way, then like you tried, like you went for it. And so like I'm excited to hear
Yeah.
afterwards
I know.
like
I can't
how
wait.
things go. But you
It's
you
it
definitely have the mindset, and the mindset I think is like the hardest thing to work on, and like something that I really, work with moms on the most. It's building that confidence, building that empowerment. It's really just getting in the mind frame of like you are capable, and
Yeah.
you have
Well,
so
and it's
much of
like
that
this.
already.
Thank you. It's like this, like ridiculous, like the way that I feel in my head about it, and even going into this idea of like an unmedicated birth is like I have such strong conviction, but like a loosely held grip on understanding that there could be something outside of my control that I'm not going to identify it. Like, my goal is to grow this human and then get him out into the world to like be his mom, right? So like ideally I do it the number one choice, which for me is unmedicated, and then it kind of like moves down the list of things that I'd want next, right? But it's like I'm open to the fact that it might not go according to plan, because I don't want to feel like when I've got this baby on my chest and I'm like, dang it, I didn't do it on Medicaid. So like now I suck. Right. But instead it's like I listened to my body if there was something that I needed to do. But I know myself, and I am someone who also loves physical combined with mental challenges. Like I've purposely done things like my husband and I did 29029. Jesse Itzler and Colin O'Brady, he was the first guy to trek across Antarctica unassisted. They developed this thing called 29029, which is the elevation of Mount Everest. So 29,029 feet. So they basically picked different ski resorts all across the country. My husband and I did it in Utah. You have 36 hours to climb a mountain 13 times, which is the equivalent of like climbing Mount Everest, but you don't have the risk of dying, right? And so like it was the hardest thing ever. And I was talking to a woman that was climbing up with us, and she was like, this is so much harder than natural childbirth. And she said that to me years ago. And in my head, I was like, okay, if I could do this, then I could do that. And I love the physical challenge. So I'm like, I kind of like feel like it's in my DNA to want to do something like this, just to see, like, to push myself to that brink. Versus I know there are some women listening into this that they're like, that sounds horrible. Like some of my best girlfriends are like, why the hell would you ever want to do that? You couldn't pay me any amount of money. And I'm over here like, it sounds effing awesome. Like, let's go, you know? And all of us, again, it goes back to there's no, like, I am not going to be one of those like judgy moms, like, you know, that's like, oh, you're not breastfeeding, or, oh, you did XYZ or whatever. I'm like, that is not my personality whatsoever. But I am going to be a huge advocate for like, if you want to do that thing, even if it's hard, like you better freaking do that, because you need to feel proud of yourself, because you're the person you're going to spend every single second with every single day for the rest of your life. And that doesn't mean that your vision has to look like anybody else's, because someone else could equally feel proud of themselves that they got through a really hard pregnancy and they brought this baby into the world through a C-section, and that felt aligned for them. Amazing. You still grew and put out into the world a human. Like, you should be clapping for your damn self, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It can be so, and that's like one thing that I talk about on the podcast so much. And it's like, it can be so conflicting, and there can be like so many different sides, and it's such a polarizing culture that we have around motherhood. It's all like this or this, and that and is lacking so much. And like how you keep on saying, like you specifically, like, you know, being a mom and like having that big business and having that big goal of continuing that, like there's so many things that people literally are just struggling with. Like, how am I going to be an employee and be a mom? How am I going to be myself and be a mom? Like, they don't comprehend that, like, you can have both, and that and can be there. And when we're living in such a polarized world of like, it has to be like, oh, you didn't breastfeed for a year, then like you didn't really breastfeed. Or like, oh, like you only did it for a week, like that doesn't count. Like, it's like, no, like every single little bit, like even if it was for a day, even if it was one single time that you attempted a latch, like I feel like that should be a compliment, like that should be a win, like that should be honored, that should be, you know, like something to be proud of, because you were trying to go for that thing. And like, if like, it's just, it's so hard when like you're hearing different perspectives or different opinions, and like you're trying to work out your own understanding of it. But
the overwhelm is so real, right? Because like,
it
especially as someone that's in it right now before becoming a mom, what I have to be really cautious of, and for anyone that's listening to this that's pregnant and has never had a baby, what's helpful for me is I'm like, what do I need to know now? And what can a future version of me learn about? For example, breastfeeding. I literally know nothing about breastfeeding, but I'm not trying to like research a ton of stuff about breastfeeding right now, or worrying about like postpartum stuff right now. Like, I'm just like, okay, I just started my third trimester. What is going on with my vagina? What is going on with my body? Like, how are my hormones? Like, what am I doing? Like, what do I need to focus on? And like having this like micro focus, knowing that I've got this big macro plan of like how I want to start this. But it's like, after you have the baby, then you're a parent, and every single thing that you're doing is new. And it's interesting because like the mental load of all of that, I'm very aware that that will be a real thing, because my normal brain that doesn't even have a kid already has 25 tabs open at all given points of time. I can only imagine how many more tabs I'm going to add when every single thing that I'm doing, including Sarah changing a freaking diaper. I've literally never changed a diaper, and neither has my husband. So I'm like, this is all going to be new to us. I'm like, if I start worrying about all of the things that I don't know, whether that's with motherhood or with business or anything in general, it is so easy to put myself quickly into, especially because my hormones are all over the place now, into this spiral where I'm going to get so much anxiety. And I'm like, I don't have time for that, nor do I want to do that. So I have to focus on like, what's this week look like? And what is my main focus? And how can I celebrate? Woo, 28 weeks pregnant. Okay, woo, 29. All right, now maybe we should paint our nursery. Okay, now what should we do next? Like, right, it's like taking it step by step. And that's the way to like manage it, where I can stay in this like place that I want to be in, which is like utter just gratitude for the opportunity. Like the fact that I'm sitting here with you, growing a human, like growing a penis, like while I'm talking to you. It's just like, it's so amazing that I'm just like in freaking awe. And it's like the rest of the stuff, I'll figure it out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like, you always talk about this, and it's something that I think is so important. Like cultivating an environment or group of people that are going to be, once you're ready to get that information, you can tap into it. So like
Yes.
you don't need to have all the things talked about, known about. You don't need to be doing, like you said, like postpartum breastfeeding, like things like that. But at least having somebody that like, when you come to that bridge, like when you come to cross that scenario, you have that resource to pull from. Like you're putting
Mm-hmm.
in those slots, you're putting in those files of like, okay, like when it comes to this, who am I going to reach out to? But like, you don't have to overwhelm yourself with all those things. Just being able
Mm-hmm.
to be in an environment that like, maybe it's a friend, maybe it is like a family member or something like that who has been down that road before. And you're like, okay, I'm ready to learn all things breastfeeding. Like, tell me now, because like, it's so fast when those things come up. Like you literally
Mm-hmm.
go from like being pregnant to needing to breastfeed your baby in like all of a second. And if things aren't like going the way that like you thought that they were going to go, like even having, I always say like a therapist, somebody that like mentally can help you like through that transition. Like those are the kinds of things that are like so important. And like maybe you don't need it now. Maybe you don't need to be like tapping into those resources,
Yeah.
but knowing that they're there and available and
Yes.
ready for when you need them, it's such a game changer. And I feel like it helps release that anxiety of it, because you're like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't need to know all the answers, but like these are the people that like I'll be able to tap into and pull from when the time
Yes.
comes.
That
And
is the anxiety buster, right? That is
yeah.
literally it. Where like when I was feeling anxiety about like, how am I going to build this business while also being a mom? That was when I was like, okay, I need to find a community of women that are building 7, 8 figure businesses. And I connected with Natalie Ellis. She's the co-founder of Boss Babe. And she has this mastermind called CEO Mama for like 7, 8 figure business owners that are all have kids like under 5 years old. And I was like, okay, I don't even need to know anything about this. I just need to sign up for this. It's starting in January. And I was like, I'm doing that because then I'll have that ecosystem of people that I can plug into. But I don't need to worry about that now, because to your point, it's like you identify, like, I think people undervalue identifying the resource, or like picking the book and knowing like this is a slam dunk, but you don't even have to open the book yet because it's not the stage that you're in. But just knowing that it's there, all of a sudden you're like, phew, okay, cross that off. I'll deal with that later. Gosh, that's such good advice. I'm glad that you talk about that often too,
Yeah.
because it's like it does really release a lot of stress.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just like building that toolbox, like building that like
Yeah.
group of people that that you're going to be able to have and like have those resources. But
Yeah.
like it's just, yeah, it's such a game changer. But like I honestly, I feel like I could talk to you like all day, and like I don't want to like, like I'm respectful of your time and everything too. And like I guess just like what's like one more thing that like is really kind of like on your mind, like in this real time moment right now, that you want to kind of like express or talk about?
Yeah. I think for me, what's coming up a lot right now is the dichotomy of emotions. Like, for example, last night I didn't sleep very well, and I woke up and my husband was sleeping like a little like angel. And I was like, God, he's sleeping so well. And I looked over at him and I was like, ugh. And I had my pregnancy pillow and I was like kind of like wrestling around because I was like, maybe he'll wake up and ask me how I'm doing. And he didn't wake up. So I tapped him on the shoulder and I was like, hey, so I know that you love me, but do you like really like me right now? And he was like, what? He was like, I really like you right now, babe. Like, go back to sleep. Like, go back to sleep. And I'm like, where is this coming from? So it's like I have this like weird hormonal thing that like these weird things will pop up that I'm not judging myself for. And then 2 minutes later, I'll be like so excited about something. And then 3 minutes later, I'll have like anxiety about something else. And it's like the dichotomy of holding all of these emotions and kind of just looking at myself where like, this sounds weird, but sometimes I'll kind of go to like a bird's eye view on myself and I'm like, look at you. That's so cute. Look at you trying to navigate like being pregnant, and like, look at you just like letting yourself have all these emotions without judgment. So to anyone listening in, it's like you can have multiple emotions simultaneously and it feels kind of confusing in your body, but it's like you can be stressed and be really grateful. You can have anxiety and be really excited. You can feel kind of like hormonally all over the place and then also like just feel like yourself at the same time. Like I just feel like I'm experiencing more emotions at one time and more thoughts about different things about the same topic, like about being a mom, than I've ever experienced before. But I just look at it with this lens of just like pure appreciation and just like kind of just like laughing at myself. Like I just am not taking myself too seriously right now because I'm like, you woke your husband up in the middle of the night, your husband that you've been with for 14 years, to ask him if he likes you. Like literally I did that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm not going to make that mean anything weird. I'm like, yep, I did do that last night. Will I have to do that again tonight? Probably not, but here we are. So I guess to anyone, just like let yourself just be a human and know that being a human is tough enough. Sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves. We often like get so serious, especially as we get older. We're like, I have to be taken seriously, so I have to act this way. It's like, when's the last time like you just laughed at yourself because you're like, I'm just like a little human trying to figure it out, you know?
I
So
love it. I
yeah.
love it. And so this episode will come out before your event. So if you
Yay.
want to talk about it, really, I'm assuming like you can still come and everything.
Yeah,
So
yes.
yeah.
So if anyone listening in wants to come to Empower Her Live, it's our 3-day event in Denver, Colorado, September 22nd through the 24th. Hundreds of women from all across the country and even globe. We've got amazing keynote speakers, but what's really beautiful about it is like it's a curated space where you get to have like a break from your day-to-day life to get like the clarity and get filled up and get connection and just have so much freaking fun and be with other women that get it, women that want to have real talk conversations and value transparency. And it's going to be so freaking fun. And I can't even wait, Sarah, to hear like your transformation, like what you feel afterwards, because it's going to be absolutely incredible. We've got some really amazing speakers that are coming too that just like really wanted to be part of it, which is so humbling. And I'm just so grateful. So if you want to come, you can head to empowerherlive2023.com, snag your ticket, even if it's a couple of days before the event. Snag a ticket, jump on a plane, get there, like it'll change your life. So you deserve it.
I love it. I'm so excited to be there and to meet you in person and really be able to do that. But I guess for listeners too, like where can we reach you? Where can we get in contact with you? Where are you hanging out? I know I'm in your text messaging too, which is super awesome. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So for anyone that also wants to listen into podcasts, mine's not specifically about motherhood, but it's called Empower Her, and you can find it anywhere you find podcasts. I'm Kacia Ghetmiri on Instagram, Kacia. Last name. I just have a really tricky name, but type in Kacia, you'll find me. And then my text messages. So I send out little inspo texts every Sunday evening and then randomly throughout the week. And if you're interested in joining the text list, you can text the word START to 512-548-2728. Again, the word START to 512-548-2728 and get some free inspo text, like a little, like your saucy bestie and a fortune cookie at a baby. That's the vibe. So
I love it. Well, you have made
Sarah.
this so easy.
Thank you, girl. I appreciate you.
See ya.
See ya.
Thank you, mamas, so much for listening. Remember, you are a rock star. I believe in you. Let's doula this. Let's crank it up a notch and let's kick it into high gear together. Hit that subscribe button, share this episode with a friend, message me, email me, call me, beat me. You know how to reach me. We're doing this, mamas. I am so excited to catch you here next week. This is your one-stop go-to place for helping you find the resources you need to make the best choices for you and your family during pregnancy, birth, and most importantly, postpartum. See you later, mamas.